speaking hall.
No, sorry. You guys are reading.
Enthralled with the reading. It'll take me half the night to read all this. We'll get the meeting called to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the November 6th minutes. So everyone had a chance to look at the minutes. Any comments? Is there a motion for approval?
I'd move the minutes be approved as distributed.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Second item, consider a special use permit for a digital sign for the Immanuel Baptist Church. Justin, you want to cover that?
Yes, this is a special use for, like you said, Immanuel Baptist Church, the address of 1515 North Anderson. The action to be taken by the Planning Commission today following the conclusion of a public hearing will take the form of a recommendation to the Newton City Commission, who has final authority to act upon the application. It is also important to include in the motion the reason or reasons for approval or denial of the special use permit. This need to be no more than referencing some element of the staff report. In order to justify approval of any special use application, the Joint Board of Zoning Appeals considers the following criteria. A, what is the location and size of the proposed use in relation to the site and to the adjacent sites and uses of property? The nature of intensity and operations proposed thereon. Applicant commentary, the location and size of the property are both adequate for the proposed use of the property. The requested use is allowable within this zoning classification, but only by a special use permit. This allows for the governing body to impose any conditions it may deem necessary to protect adjacent properties. B, describe the accessibility of the property to police, fire, trash collection, and other municipal services, adequacy of ingress and egress to and within the site, traffic flow and control, and the adequacy of off-street parking and loading areas. The applicant commentary, this is a residential neighborhood with city street access. The access of the property to police, fire, trash collection, and other municipal services is adequate. This will not have any effect, ingress or egress of the site. Traffic flow and control and the adequacy of off-street parking will not change. C, what utilities and services, including water, sewer, drainage, gas, electricity, are on the property. Please note that particular reference to location, availability, capacity, and compatibility. Applicant commentary, this property is on city water and sewer, the appropriate drainage and with appropriate drainage and Evergy Electric for power. There are no gas services on the property. The location, availability, capacity, and compatibility are adequate, as there is already electricity run to the place where the sign will be located. D, describe the location, nature, height of the buildings, walls, fences, and other improvements, their relation to adjacent property and uses, and the need for buffering or screening. The applicant commentary, the sign is 37 3/4 by 37 3/4 and will be placed on the base of the current sign. The base is 25 inches high by 56 inches long by 16 inches wide. This sits back 27 feet from the street. Once installed, the total height of the sign will be 63 inches. E, describe the adequacy of required yard and open space requirements of sign provisions as outlined in the zoning ordinance. The applicant commentary, the site is adequate for the proposed project. The new digital sign will be installed at 1515 North Anderson Avenue in Newton. It will be 27 feet back from street. No other changes are proposed at this time. F, what are the general compatibility with the adjacent properties, other properties in the district, and general safety, health, comfort, and general welfare of the community? The applicant commentary, this is a church in a residential neighborhood on Anderson Avenue. In front of the church, all homes have their backyards towards the church, and all of them have a 6-foot privacy fence, and most of them have trees between their home and their fence. The homes to the south of the property also have their backyard toward church property, with most having a privacy fence. The homes to the north on 15th Street do face the church. The homes to the west of the property would not be able to see the sign. The general safety, health, comfort, and general welfare of the residents in these homes will not be adversely affected. G, the applicable The applicant described the particular standards and requirements of prescribed in section 4.5 of the zoning ordinance. There is no comments for that one. In considering the application, should the planning commission wish to approve the requested special use permit, it must find that the proposed use conforms to the general standards set forth above. In no case shall the permit be granted if the proposed use will constitute a nuisance or a public health or safety hazard to the adjacent properties or the community at large. The commission approval will be forwarded in a form of a recommendation to the Newton City Commission for consideration. The governing body may adopt, revise, amend the recommendation by resolution. If the governing body fails to act upon recommendation within 120 days from the date it is received, the applicant will be deemed to have been denied. Special use permits expire automatically without revocation by the city unless a building permit is obtained or substantial evidence of a special use is observable within 12 months of the issuance of the special use permit. In addition, special use permits expire 12 months after permitted use ceases or is abandoned. The requirements for public notification for special use permits have been met. 43 property owners were notified. No questions, comments, phone calls, emails, letters, or contacts were received by the city. And there's no implications on the city.
Thank you, Justin. Any questions for staff? I just had one. So the current sign that's outside of city right away, right?
Yes.
That's correct, okay. Any other questions? Anyone from the public here to talk about this? Are you here for this item?
I just have a comment. I'm from the
Yeah.
church.
Yeah, just step up to the podium.
Okay. My name is Very Stroud, and I'm from Immanuel Baptist Church. And the only thing I wanted to address was, we initially were just going to put the sign, the digital sign, but we want to add 12 inches higher than what this requests. So it'd be 75 inches high total with the base included, because it'll be a 12-inch high backlit light, but it'll have the name of the church and the pastor's name. So that'll be the only difference.
70 inches total height, 75 inches.
75
total
inches
height.
total from
Okay.
the ground,
Okay.
which includes the base and the sign as well as the backlit name.
The width is still 37 and a half.
Correct, yeah.
Any questions for Vera? Right?
Very.
Okay, thank you.
In the sign portion, is there size, height, is that in anything?
It is, yes, and it would meet those requirements.
It would meet them.
Correct. Yep.
So we're just seeing this because it's a digital sign?
Correct. A digital sign is not allowed by code in a residential area.
Okay.
Except via the SUP. Yep.
Is that in any residential zoning?
What's
Or
that?
Any residential zoning, or
It's because of her, it's in an R1, yeah.
Yeah.
It's allowed in some residential area.
it is in some R1 not, though?
Correct.
Yeah, so, what about an agreement, after a certain time of night, turning it down?
And that is in the lumens and all that is also in our code book, so that would have to be dropped down. Yep.
Yeah, and just FYI, we recently did one of these over for Trinity Heights,
Yes.
which is very close to where I live, and it's a non-issue, as far as I'm concerned.
Trinity Heights, is that by the high school?
Yeah.
The one back-
Yep.
Yeah,
It's on the corner there?
on the corner of Boyd. Trinity is where the
Yep.
sign is at.
Yeah,
And
I've seen that before.
The school did one as well. And
Yeah.
that one was an issue for a bit, but then
Right.
it's mellowed out after we changed, or we contacted them to turn down the brightness and all that, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other comments? Entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is zoning amendment for the Parks Department. You do.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
Evan's
take
gonna
this one.
Okay.
So this is an application for a zoning district amendment submitted to the Newton Area Planning Commission. The applicant requests that the below described properties be rezoned from a PO zoning classification to a C2, City of Newton zoning classification. So this is for the address of 1010 East 12th Street. The legal description is the east half of the southwest quarter of Section 9, Township 23 South, Range 1 East. I'm not going to read the full legal description.
You don't need to.
Go ahead and stipulate to that. The criteria by which an application for a zoning amendment must be judged are set forth in the zoning ordinances at Article 1, Section 1.10-4, subsection D1. Findings must be made on each of the 5 following points. The first criteria is whether the change in classification would be consistent with the intent and purpose of these regulations. And that includes the city's adopted comprehensive plan and all other adopted city policies, plans, programs, and ordinances. The staff comment on this is when considering a change of zoning classification for any piece of property, it's necessary to consider whether every use that would be permitted under the requested classification would be appropriate for that property and the surrounding area, and not just focus on the current use that's requested. This is because there's no way to prevent the applicant or any future owner from using the site for any other uses permitted under the requested classification. So once you change it to a certain classification, that classification sticks. So that's criteria A. It says, please see the map included as attachment F for a graphic representation of the zoning of the surrounding properties. Criteria B, whether every use that would be permitted on the property, if it were reclassified, would be compatible with the uses permitted on other property located in the immediate vicinity, and whether the subject property is suitable for the uses to which it has been restricted. Staff comments, C2 zoning provides for specific activities including but not limited to. It has a long list of business zoned classifications there. It's almost any business you can imagine. So I'm not going to read those. Any other business determined by the zoning administrator can be of the same general character as the above listed uses. So that's criteria B. Criteria C is whether adequate sewer and water facilities and all other needed public services exist or can be provided to serve the uses that would be permitted on the property if it were reclassified. And the staff comment is all public utilities are existing and they're connected to existing buildings on site. Criteria D is whether the proposed amendment would correct an error in the application of these regulations. Staff is not aware of any errors in the application of the zoning regulations that could be corrected through this zoning amendment. Criteria E is whether the proposed amendment is made necessary because of changed or changing conditions in the area affected, and if so, the nature of such change or changing conditions, and whether this proposed amendment provides a disproportionately greater loss to the individual landowner relative to the public gain. Staff comment is the existing location was existing, not conforming use as a PO. The use operations have changed and is needing a C2 designation.
When you say the use has changed, what does that mean? What was the change in use?
Went from basically a county use, the state, KDOT was out there.
Yeah.
And now our local Parks Department will be out at this
Okay, I
location.
just wondered, like, I knew the change in ownership of it, but I wasn't sure what the actual change in function of the property was.
The function's really not changing. I mean, it's KDOT type stuff versus what city stuff is doing, but they were
It was
acting on a,
non-conforming before.
correct, as the PO.
Okay.
Yep,
So we're getting this in line to
correct,
meet
to
the
be,
current
meet codes.
needs, okay.
Yep.
Okay. And everything around the property is C2 already?
Yep.
Any questions for staff?
You might make note of that, yep.
The staff recommendation is that the planning commission should either approve or deny the requesting zoning, and then forward that on in the form of a recommendation to the city commission. And the recommendation will be at the December 26th city commission meeting.
28th meeting. That was the,
28th.
so that, it would be the 28th, I believe, at noon is what they're planning on doing, so.
So just real quick, I'm looking under the PO in our table,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that it's primary permitted is any public building erected on land used by any department of the city, county, state, or federal government. So it doesn't look like it's non-conforming right now to me.
Gray, it fits more under the commercial is what we're trying to get under for usage, yeah.
Okay. Just wondering why it wouldn't have been caught before, like. If it doesn't seem like it's wrong, I guess is what I'm saying, but.
It would have never changed unless they would have come in to try to pull something or change something out there. But yeah, KDOT is very difficult to work
Yeah.
with. I mean, they have their own rules and regulations and,
Yeah, they
so,
don't necessarily have to
They
follow,
don't have to pull building permits.
right,
Yeah,
they don't have to follow
it's
city requirements.
correct. They have their own inspectors and all
Right.
sorts of stuff, so,
Interesting.
yep.
Yeah, I've been there before.
So it would have never been caught by them.
No.
Seems weird that it was ever professional office zoning to begin with out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what would have been out there to create that, so.
Like, even to the north of there is weird to me, but it's professional office.
Yep. So,
Okay.
No, we need to have a public hearing on this one also.
Yep.
Correct, okay. So I'll open the public hearing. Anyone want to address this? No? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Any other questions for staff? Entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I make a motion that we approve the new zoning.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the zoning amendment for the Parks Department to C2, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is review and approve zoning regulations, Articles 1 through 13. Assuming everyone studied these, read them all.
and I just have, and I'm not sure if everyone's looked at them, but yeah, we're gonna review this and hopefully approve this to send it off to city commission The 4 areas that I have that I would like to see changed would start on page 154. The review process, here it says the planning commission is part of the normal submittal packet. They should be reviewing site plans, concept sketches, and all of that. That's just another step that slows down the process that we would like to see removed from the books. Sticker here, no. Oh, and then on page 178, it's just a spelling error. Just change that to view. Another one we always get a lot of questions on is temporary signs, on how long that is, and we'd like to put it for 30 days or less.
What was the last page?
195. And then the last one that I had is on page 209. Like I mentioned at the last meeting, where we wouldn't allow for monument signs in residential areas and stuff like that. You'll see that I had language there, but I've received this afternoon from our legal team what they would like to put for their changes to meet code is a separate document that is just a 2-page document in front of you, and those are the changes that they would like to see in that section.
And what page was that last one on?
209.
209, thank you.
Yep. And the
And the
changes that we'd like to see there are
The handout.
On the
is-
handout.
yes,
changes, okay.
correct. 12.8-2 monument signs, and then the changes to the 12.9 on the table.
It's page 204 on my packet.
Okay.
No, 209 is the table then that follows, I think, yeah,
Oh,
on the second page of that.
right, okay.
There it is.
So the question I have on the monument sign, just real quick, is do we have any monument signs right now that are out there that this would violate?
We have, the one that comes to mind is the Fox Ridge plat that was just approved. We have a reserve at the front off of Kansas, and in their reserve would allow for a monument sign. Their hiccup will be if they wanted a monument sign coming off of is it Connector or Beer
Road.
Can Alley, whatever that street is out there. Otherwise, within the development to the north, if they were to put a monument sign in there, they do not have reserves in that, and that's something that we would have to work out still. But other than that, that's the only one that I'm aware of.
So the one I'm thinking of, just FYI, is, so when you first turn into Sand Creek Station,
Okay?
there's a monument sign, but in the, what do you call it, the median?
Yes.
There's an old railroad-looking structure with a depot-type structure.
Okay?
Is that considered a monument? Is that considered?
I would consider that a monument sign,
So
yes.
that would definitely violate the 10-foot.
This would be moving forward. This wouldn't be, if they were to come in, that would be
Okay.
like when you're saying existing, and we're not gonna make them change anything.
If they wanted to do something more there, they would still be grandfathered in, or they would have to meet the new
They would
requirement?
have to meet the new requirements.
So if they want to request a change to these, it would have to come back to us
Correct.
and then the city commission.
Yeah, they would be a variance, anything,
variance, okay.
yeah, yep. So if they wanted to, say, the height variance or a height restriction that doesn't meet this code, just like tonight on the SUP type of a deal, it would come back to us. Or to you guys,
They probably don't need a building permit, though, do they?
for a sign.
Well, I mean, if they were gonna do some work on, say, that structure that's in the median there, if they were gonna do some upkeep on it, they wouldn't need a building
Not on
permit.
upkeep, no. If they change the face or something like that, let's just say they change the name to from Sand Creek to Newton Creek, that would require a permit.
And that is actually typically reserves? And
Yes.
It's not right away
Correct.
that the monuments are in? Okay.
Yep.
So it's private, it's their property, it's not city property?
Correct.
Right.
The median one would be, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Nothing digital on those signs, right?
On a monument sign? No.
Yep.
Nope. The restrictions are the A through H.
So illumination is permitted. Is that just lighting of the sign?
Correct.
Okay, not
Yep.
digital signage?
Correct.
Okay.
And if we approve this, does that go to the city commission?
Yes, as a
For their
recommend.
And this is approved as the whole package?
Yes.
everything, Right, okay.
Unless you,
Unless there's modifications?
correct.
So, in the last year and a half, since we have approved these to begin with, were there anything that came up from what we did that's been an issue, other than the one thing that you took out with the having to come to us?
That was one of the concerns, and then this one here on the
Signage.
monument sign were the big things. Yep.
Nothing in the actual language or in our table?
Yeah.
And our table's a big thing, so.
Yep. Nope. Nothing is, nope. So,
Okay. The parking one, we made pretty big changes to the parking one. No issues with our parking one?
no, and we have, Wichita, I think, is looking to adopt ours, and I think El Dorado is another one that I've had calls asking if they can use it. I mean, it's, they're looking to use some of our stuff that we're doing, so it's always a good thing.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments for staff?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the changes, including the additional monument signs, 12.8-2, as written.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of zoning regulations, Articles 1 through 13, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I'm gonna skip behind. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay, any old business?
I don't have anything.
The November 6th meeting, Commissioner Newell wanted to know some of the legal requirements for taking the minutes in regards to, if we could limit them to more action-based versus, writing out every discussion that takes place between members. So the first body of law that I looked at was COMA, the Kansas Open Meeting Act. Under COMA, the rules do not speak to minutes or agendas except to require that motions to go into executive session be completely recorded in the minutes. Meeting minutes are the responsibility of the public body or agency, and the public body or agency determines what is recorded in the minutes. So then I went to the Planning Commission bylaws, and under Article 3, Section 8 of the bylaws, the recording of meetings says to keep complete records of all proceedings, and the secretary shall maintain permanent minutes to keep on file available for the public. So my recommendation is that the bylaws are very broad on the content requirements of the minutes. So I think they do allow you to, keep the discussion comments to just a broad summary of what went on. I don't think you need detailed listings and every single thing that was said. And so I think you can make it more action-based. You can almost make the minutes more bare bones if you want them to be. So it's very broad on what the requirements for the minutes, so.
I think we should table that for a discussion when we've got Carl and,
I agree.
all of us are here to discuss that, but Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
for that.
the answers, yeah. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
that.
Do we need to make a motion to table?
It's old
It's
business,
old
still the
business.
old business,
Still,
right?
thank you.
I mean, you don't have to table old business, so,
Not that I'm aware of.
okay.
No, we can always add it to the agenda if we
Just
want
bring
to
it
the
back
next meeting.
up if you would.
Yeah,
When we
yeah, just under old business next time. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, any other business? Nothing? Okay. Any new business? Cool. Well, this meeting is adjourned. I'll turn it over.
Yeah, I think so. I'll say I know what I'm doing.
My fun's over.
We don't need to switch or anything. Should I call to order? The meeting of the Newton Historic Preservation and Commission. Looks like in the agenda number 2, consider approval of the Newton, November 6, 2023 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All agree? Say yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody disagree, say yes. Motion carries. Do I need a gavel? Motion carries. Review proposal submitted to the Downtown Historic Survey. I turn this over to Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll take it from here. As you may remember, we were awarded many, many years, the Historic Preservation Fund grant from the state. As a certified local government, we do get priority in those grants. When composing the grant application this year, I requested that we were given the lenience to obtain a financial amount that was greater than the 60/40 match. We have that ability as a CLG. That agreement went to the City Commission in October. So we were awarded $30,000, and we'll only end up with about a 30% match to that funding. What you have before you is the one proposal that we did receive. We put it out on the 6th of November. You may remember I mentioned it during the meeting that the RFP was live. We did get interest from 2 parties, but only one actually submitted by the deadline, which was Friday, which is why this was not in your packet when it went out. I was waiting till end of day to see if we had anything or something stuck in the mail. You have a couple of options tonight. One would be to direct staff to present this proposal to the City Commission for the award, because it'll go through them, just like the RFP did. Or if you would like to see more proposals and would like us to take it another month, we could send out the RFP again. This proposal does meet the qualifications. Upon a second read, I did notice that they state the budget over by $3,000 in one place, and I'd want to clarify that they intend to stay on budget to the $30,000 we've set forth. But the qualifications of the applicants, their understanding of the scope of the project, and their previous work in Kansas appears like it fits the RFP, so I will leave it to you.
In your professional opinion, what, would you send that back out again, or would you roll with?
I think that has a lot to do with whether you're looking for potentially more that could take it, on maybe more that have seen other work. But if this meets the qualifications, it does. And do I believe that the professionals on board have the required capacity? I do. So it's over the holiday season. You might get more interest. You may not get more interest. It's always a little hard with a survey, because in a survey, what they're doing is they're literally going to dig through the history and go building by building and block by block. And we're asking them to do the entire C3, the entire downtown district, which we've never done quite this thoroughly before. One thing that was a positive for me is that this group has experience working in post-World War II identification. A lot of the times when these things were first started in the early 90s and even into the 2000s, we were really looking at a lot older. We were looking at the kind of the origins of the city, kind of potentially missing some more modern resources. So I would like to get some input into so we can have some of our postmodern and potential other ones. We have the Fox Theater. We have a couple pieces downtown that were already marked a little later. But especially as we broaden out, I'd like to see, there's a lot of things, I know it seems odd, 50 years ago wasn't that long ago. But, so we could look at some pieces that might fit, that would might be some brutalist elements or some postmodern elements, and they can be also noted for their historic value. So that was something in their application that did stand out to me.
Where are they located at?
Their offices are, they have an office in Missouri. They've worked mainly in California, Missouri, and Arizona. You'll notice on page 11 of your packet that they've done the project in Salina, in Kansas City, both in the Parkland study and their comprehensive plan. And they also worked in the downtown Kansas Commercial Historic District. So those would be probably the projects that they put up first and foremost that'd be more similar to what we're seeing, what we would be used to. And they've got some experience in Wichita they put on, and also with Independence with their 2019 survey. So it's somebody that knows not just some of the pieces in this area, but also knows how to work with the SHPO's requirements for the grant.
Can I ask, where do you post something like this?
We posted it with the rest of our RFPs on our website, and then we also distributed it through our regular media channels, and then through the Historic Preservation listserv as well, so that the state was able to help us promote it through their channels.
So is there anybody local that you would know or have
How
knowledge?
local would we be?
Just wondering.
I mean, I
however
don't know of
local that there is.
Kansas, maybe?
Kansas, maybe. There would probably be some potential others, but again, it would be whether they could take on a project of this size with the
Agreed.
historical background.
That's what I wondered, yeah.
And that can be hard. I feel like this application is local because they're still within the Kansas, Missouri area. That effect felt quite local to me, actually. Again, if it was a little bit more planning, we usually have a little bit wider reach, but especially with a downtown historical district, there aren't as many consultants that used to be practicing in this local area that I can remember.
What kind of time frame would this kind of project typically have? And that is to say, does it get things moving more quickly if we approve this now versus waiting
Yeah,
potentially
it would
a month,
definitely
2
start with a
months?
month. We asked that they'd be ready to start January. I think they put January 2nd in their application. We have a certain period of time frame we have to have the grant finished by. We knew at the SHPO that we'd probably be pushing our extension into August, but they have a short period to come and do the research and hold the public meetings. So it would be a very, very fast spring.
You had said SHPO has worked with this firm before.
Yes, they have.
Did you get an opinion from them on that?
I did not have a chance. Like I said,
Okay.
this came in about 4:45 on Friday, and
Yeah, of course.
so please do not feel like you have to pick if you want to. Time should not be the element that the decision is based off of.
I wouldn't have any real knowledge one way or the other in their requirements. I mean, they look like they've got plenty of experience. I wouldn't have a problem with moving forward.
Yeah, I really don't know enough to know what other applicants for the proposal would look like, so, you know, I'd be interested in getting the project rolling so as to meet the deadlines and stuff. And they knew what the deadline was, and that was published, I assume, so.
And they did list, I can't remember which page it's on, but they listed that they would hope to finish up by May. So, Ms. Ruiz would be the primary surveyor with probably most boots on the ground with Ms. Ammerman overseeing some of the more public meeting aspects. So usually in this sort of a process, they'd have a kickoff public meeting that they would coordinate with staff. Just letting the businesses and the property owners know that we're going to be going there. I would hope to have the CVB Main Street position filled. It's currently under interviews again. And I would want that person to go along with them, along with other staff, to kind of help the local property and business owners feel comfortable that this person's going to be coming around, asking questions, asking if they can have access to the building. We would be encouraging them to give access when at all possible. And they'd be wanting to take a lot of photos and take some measurements and do their background history. They'll be probably going to the Historical Society and looking for records. They're going to be looking at our past surveys, but it's been a number of years since we've had a thorough survey, and we've never done one this large before and encapsulated the side streets. We've only focused on Main Street proper. So there's going to be a lot more resources. So they're going to have a lot of boots on the ground, and then they'll have time in their office when they're compiling these items. Parts that they're going to be doing for us is going to be uploading all that information onto the website that the SHPO maintains, which is our database system. So you'll be able to see new photographs and new descriptions and hopefully better information, which is what you see when you come with a project in front of you. I always bring that record sheet. So those will all get updated for that downtown area. If you do have a property owner that maybe has never had a survey done, and we have a lot of those on 6th Street. People have asked me if they are historic buildings, if they're listed. This would allow the property owner a basis to begin that process for nomination because they'd have the survey done. And so that gives them a starting point. So what we're kind of hoping to do is see there's some buildings maybe that aren't really contributing anymore because there's had so many changes or damages or other things, and maybe some are contributing that weren't previously. So but we won't make that decision. This is just the survey. This is just the information gathering. It would be more than likely another year or two with another grant-funded project to look at changing designations. But this is just updated information.
You say you had 2 people reach out, but only 1 application. Do you know
Correct.
why the first one of them did not finish the application?
No, they did not get back with me.
Fair enough.
So it says review proposals. Are we voting on this?
You just have to let me know if you would like me to take it to the city commission. I'd put it on the agenda for next week. Or if you'd rather us send the RFP back out. That's really the direction I need.
I'll get it started. I'll make a motion to take this in front of the city commission next week.
Okay.
I have another question.
Sure.
Before we move forward. How long did they have to submit?
A month, almost.
They had a whole month, okay, so.
So it was
would have probably reached the people, if someone's doing this type of work, they would have known about it.
more than likely, yeah. It went out November 6th, and then the deadline was December 1st, so.
That's plenty of time, yeah. Okay, sorry.
No problem.
Good with it?
So we have a motion.
Motion?
Need a second?
Second? You have a first and a second. All in favor? Say yes.
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 Pass on to city commission? All against? I guess if it's a motion, it passes.
Yes. Thank you.
Any old business? No
I have
old
none.
business? Any new business? I guess we're adjourned.